Look at all that money, yeah, the money that they spent. Take another look and take some time for hemp. Don't cut trees for paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yeah, it's time for hemp. An acre of hemp makes 20 barrels of oil. No need for pesticides to poison all our soil. People got no food, they got no clothes, they got no rent. Well, it's time for hemp. Yeah.
Thank you for taking time for hemp. I'm your host, Casper Leitch. You are listening to the live broadcast of Time for Hemp all around the world on AmericanFreedomRadio.com, on AM/FM stations all across America, and on the Roku Network. A big shout out to all of my friends up in Canada. I want to say thank you to KDK Distributors for giving us a grant to keep us loud, proud, and strong. And of course, send our love to Head Shop Canada. We appreciate all they do. They are hardworking people up there that are doing what they can to make certain that patients who need medical marijuana can get their medical marijuana without being considered a criminal. And on the big broadcast today, we are going to be talking to the founder of of Head Shop Canada, and we're going to be talking to Paul Stanford as our joint host. But before we do that, I want to remind people that tomorrow we start an hour early. It is the third in our 5 set of conferences that we're doing, and Michael Krawitz will be hosting the international treaty section of our presentation. A lot of people don't seem to realize that our international treaties do play a big part in what happens on the global stage in the marijuana movement. So make it a point to tune in. We'll talk to you a little bit more about that throughout the big broadcast. Also, go to timeforhemp.com and please check out all of our updates. We've done an awful lot here lately, and I must say the site looks great. Well, with all that said, my joint host, Paul Stanford, is on the line. Good morning, Paul. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you, Casper?
I tell you, I'm getting all excited about this upcoming weekend here. The Seattle Hemp Fest. It is just going to be amazing this year.
Yeah. You want to tell the audience what you're talking about?
Yes, the Seattle Hemp Fest is, I think, the biggest gathering of the hemp body anywhere on the planet. We probably have about 100,000 people or more a day that show up at the event. And I have been asked to be a guest speaker at the event. It's up there in Seattle. Paul Stanford is also speaking at the event, as well as so many other illustrious members of the marijuana movement. And it's going to be 3 days of rock and roll and reggae and great conversation, all about ending prohibition. And our joint host today is up in Canada, and he is very active in growing up there, growing his business, growing to help the patients up there get their medical marijuana. And we're talking about Tim Selenski from Head Shop Canada. Tim, thank you for being on the big broadcast today.
No, thanks for having me, Casper. And hi, Paul. Hopefully all you guys are doing good up there, and the weather's treating you good. I know it is here. Got a blessing this summer in Saskatchewan. It's not too hot, luckily. You know, we don't just live in igloos. In the summer, it gets so damn hot, sometimes they can cook the plants in the greenhouses. But this year has been definitely a blessing.
Now, you grow indoors for a while, then you take them outdoors. Is that how you pull together your crop?
We do an array of different types of gardens, from aeroponics to water culture, indoors and outdoors. But when we say outdoors, it always has to have something covering it, protecting it from the elements to make sure you're giving somebody the highest grade medical cannabis.
And when you do grow, what is the your most preferred method?
Well, my personal farm, I'm the founding farmer of a movement that we started here in Saskatchewan called Helping Sask Grow. We live in a fairly conservative province in this country. This is where the RCMP are trained. So they tend to maybe come down a little harder on somebody with a minor possession of cannabis. I started growing with the federal government it was about 2002, with only 5 plants. One person was prescribed 1 gram of cannabis, and he had asked me if I knew how to grow cannabis. Maybe it was the fact that I had a hemp shop called Head to Head Novelties, and I started to sell pipes and bongs and stuff out of it. I guess I kind of looked like a marijuana farmer. And ever since then, I've been constantly trying to learn and better myself and better the cannabis that I'm producing. And I've found that growing organic cannabis with soilless mediums so that I can control everything that the plant is taking in creates the safest, healthiest, and highest quality product.
Now, Paul, I know that you prefer doing indoor growing for a starter and then taking them outdoors for the finishing. And do you often dabble in hydroponics as well?
You know, I have used hydroponics in the past, but and I worked selling hydroponic equipment back in the 80s, and I don't really like using it because it's so prone to error. You know, small errors. You got the parts per million, the pH, there's just tons of different things that, and if one of them's off, you're screwed. So, dirt's a lot more forgiving in my mind. It's also cheaper. You know, hydroponics are good if you live in outer space or in an apartment with very little room. You don't want to haul bags of dirt up and down the stairs, but those are the if you ask me, they're pretty useless outside of that.
You know, that was actually one of my biggest reasons for starting my shop is I seen this plant that helped so many people that were suffering from cancer. I'd seen before this licensing process was even available to people, and I just really wanted to see a plant, take the chains off of it because, just like hemp, it has 55,000 different industrial uses, and this plant could definitely help our environment, not to mention our health.
Well, that's admirable. I've got to say that it's great that you're able to help patients there, and I didn't want to come down too hard on the concept at all. I didn't mean it personally, but I sold hydroponic equipment for a while, but I think dirt is cheaper and easier and much more forgiving especially for novice growers. There's a lot of talk that you can somehow charge your plants with hydroponic, but I don't really believe that. I think you can do just as well or better with dirt. And I prefer all organic too. I don't really like the chemical nutrients and fertilizers myself.
Here on that, Paul, for sure, without question. So if it comes from the earth, it's good. That's what I always say.
Yeah, and we do have to replace prohibition with legal regulation and just allow people to grow their own without regulation. I think just like they can grow their own tomatoes or just about any other plant. So it shouldn't be prohibited. We know that. They've taken the oldest plant and the most productive plant on this planet, and they prohibited it. And unfortunately, most people don't realize that the very first crop is also the most productive crop, and that it's been prohibited. But, we're preaching to the choir here on this radio show by and large, but we need to educate everyone out there. It's one of those things that everyone should know because it's crucial to the history of our the founding of civilization itself. So
and the future of the civilization, I believe too. You're right. A lot of people can't appreciate it. This year has been absolutely insane in the greenhouses. We have plants that are reaching over 15 feet tall right now in some of the greenhouses. It's definitely awing when you can look up at a plant that's that large that can grow, uh, 16 feet tall in 6 months. It's something else that like bamboo, but bamboo can't be grown everywhere like cannabis can.
Bamboo doesn't bush out the way cannabis does either.
No, that's for sure.
And it doesn't also, bamboo doesn't grow on the mountaintops, and I don't think you can get a very good cannabis crop in Saskatchewan. I mean, excuse me, you can get a good cannabis crop. I don't think you can get a very good bamboo crop in Saskatchewan.
No, definitely not. I don't see too many bamboo farmers out this way.
No, the cannabis will go from the tropics to the subarctic and still cultivate. It comes from the high Himalayas, and its cultivation had spread out of the Himalayas by 25,000 years ago. The first our ancestors went up there and found those plants, and they found something they liked, so they started cultivating it. So dogs have only been domesticated for about 10,000 years, and look how different they are than wolves. You got Chihuahuas, you got Great Danes. You can see the dramatic changes in animal breeding, and people and cannabis have evolved together, and we've changed each other. And so the protein requirements for people perfectly match the amino acid profile of cannabis seed, and our needs for essential fatty acids perfectly match the EFA output from cannabis. We have co-evolved, and to prohibit that is obviously very evil. You've got to look at the roots of that to understand it. But I agree, when we legalize marijuana without regard to its THC content for fuel, fiber, and food, then it will replace petrochemicals, cotton, forests for paper and building materials. And you and I and Casper here can play a part of that.
Casper's doing definitely good things spreading it around the world with his radio show, that's for sure.
Yeah, I agree. So, Casper, what's up with you?
Well, I'm just, like I said, I'm all excited about what's coming up here on the weekend. I know that there's a lot of changes going on there in Canada, that the medical marijuana growing movement's going to be growing their own inside, and it looks like they're not going to even be able to grow their own after the 1st of April. Isn't that right, Tim?
Unfortunately, you are correct. That is what's proposed. It seems to be what's going through with what I've seen with all the new licenses. There's 2 expiry dates on the licenses. They say it's going to be easier for people to get a medical license for cannabis, but eliminating the growers is definitely going to create it hard for them to access it. They are proposing that commercial grow operations will start. Our company's helped over 3,000 people get a license for cannabis here in this province, and of course surrounding provinces. This is a federal program because Canada is the only country that's legalized cannabis on a medical level, where you would just need a license similar that you would need a driver's license. The program works right now, but of course there's abuse in it. But why change a program that's helping so many people because of a couple of bad apples? There's still people out there abusing Western medications of their morphine prescriptions and things like that. More children die from getting into their parents' medicine cabinets more than ever nowadays. It seems like it's an increasing number, and if cannabis was replacing some of those prescription bottles in mom and dad's medicine cabinet, you would definitely lower the child deaths, because cannabis does not kill anybody, and that's a reality. And the biggest reality to me is why it needs to be legalized, because why regulate something that does nothing but good for people and for our planet? It just doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
Well, what I'm surprised about is how they've decided to take something that was not broke and supposedly fix it. Now, whose idea was that?
Well, you could probably thank Mr. Harper's government, our conservative government, that's been, I don't want to say dictating our country for the last bit here. we do have a federal election coming up soon, next year. So I'm hoping that we do have one candidate, Mr. Trudeau, who says right out legalize. So we're hoping that more and more of these politicians start to see the benefits of cannabis and, of course, hemp, because it falls right in there with it. I know the politicians here sure love their hops, and hops is a type of cannabis. So, if they can appreciate a drink after work, then they should respect the people that choose not to use alcohol to deal with even just their stress, because that's the reality of cannabis as a medical prescription. People commonly think you have to be terminally ill to get these licenses. I've helped people get licenses for ADHD, for eating disorders, sleeping disorders, even just stress. A guy comes home from work with his, sometimes his nagging wife, his kids yelling at him after working hard. He wants to put his feet up, but he doesn't want to use alcohol to relax, or some type of medication that'll destroy his heart, his liver, and his stomach. He chooses to, go to his man cave or his garage, tinker on his hot rod, and have a puff. And if that puts you in a relaxed state, then that's medicine. And anybody should be able to use something like cannabis that doesn't affect or have those deadly side effects to it.
Well, we got some side effects here on the broadcast. One of them is having to pay our bills. So we take a commercial break and make that happen. And then we're going to listen to a song about how fantastic marijuana is. And then after that, we're going to come back and take a whole lot more time for hemp.
Get your smoke on. Get your smoke on. Get your smoke on.
THCF Medical Clinics are the premier physicians clinic in the United States. THCF has offices all across the United States from Hawaii to Michigan. THCF Medical Clinics has helped approximately 150,000 patients obtain their medical marijuana permits to legally possess, grow, and use medical marijuana. If you have chronic pain, multiple sclerosis, or any other neurological degenerative disease, or if you have any gastrointestinal disorders such as GERD, irritable bowel syndrome, or if you have AIDS, cancer, spastic disorders, seizure disorders, or glaucoma, call us at 1-800-723-0188 or visit us online at hemp.org. Again, the number is 1-800-723-0188 and the site is hemp.org. Serious Seeds is your source for quality cannabis and sativa seeds. Serious Seeds are the creators of legendary strains like AK-47, Bubblegum, Chronic, Cali Mist, and White Russian. The AK-47 is probably the most awarded strain on the planet. The high THC content of AK-47 makes it the perfect medical strain for patients seeking quick pain relief. Cali Mist is an almost pure sativa. Female medical cannabis patients have reported that this strain helps relieve menstrual cramps. Serious Seeds just acquired another Dutch high-quality seed bank, Magus Genetics. From now on, Serious Seeds can offer you even more award-winning strains. The fine folks at Serious Seeds strive to breed the best cannabis genetics that they can find, so patients can rely on the effectiveness of their medicine. Go to SeriousSeeds.com to grow your medicine. That site again is SeriousSeeds.com.
Green Glass Clean is a 100% green liquid cleaner that is designed to wash the toughest resin stains from pipes, bongs, and hookahs. Green Glass Clean is safe to use on glass, plastic, ceramic, wood, and about anything you smoke from, so you can enjoy the full flavor of your smoke. Green Glass Clean is easy to use. Just dilute a small amount, then soak, rinse, and dry. Green Glass Clean will gently dissolve any stuck-on crud from your pipe, keeping your smoking gear fresh and clean. Order Green Glass Clean at greenglassclean.com. GacaTac.com. And for those stubborn, hard-to-reach resin spots that just won't come off, there is the GacaTac Brush Pack. GacaTac Brush Pack keeps your smoking gear clean and looking shiny. The tough yet gentle nylon bristles scrub and scrape buildups and residue with ease. Wire-braided handle bends for easy maneuvering without damaging your smoking apparatus. Using the GacaTac Brush Pack with Green Glass Clean will keep your pipes, bongs, and hookahs clean. Order your GacaTac Brush Pack by going to GacaTac.com. It's time for hemp prohibition to end. The cannabis legalization movement has long waited to have congressional or Senate hearings to present the failure of drug prohibition, medical benefits of cannabis, and more. Time for Hemp is tired of waiting for the cannabis movement to get such an invitation and has organized this 5 2-hour conference series special. Time for Hemp will be hosting live specials to produce a global cannabis summit with some of the most brilliant minds and amazing leaders of the industrial hemp and medical cannabis movement. This presentation will be broadcasted live on American Freedom Radio online, AM/FM stations across America, and on Roku, and will be archived at American Freedom Radio and on iTunes. During each commercial-free broadcast, moderators will conduct discussions with 6 expert panelists brought together from all corners of the earth to present the most current research and statistics concerning this trillion-dollar industry. Tune in live starting each Friday this August at 9 to 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. This special presentation is being hosted by Casper Leitch on AmericanFreedomRadio.com.
Smoke.
That's some wicked high grade or some gourmet up and impress. You want to lick? See the chalice happy burn. Beacon happy burn. Turn! Keep the ganja pipe burning. The good sense to me, come on yearning. I ganja man, they put you stiff in the air. And I wear it like you just don't care. When me sing again, keep the ganja pipe burning. The good sense to me, come on yearning. I ganja man, they put you stiff in the air. And I wear it like you just don't care. Turn! Wait there, yes me have to crap it. Say it's a bad habit, but it make me fly like a rocket. Too much of anything will make you an addict. Yes me feel stressed when me know have it. Come on, girl, I look good. Like Playboy Bunny Rapid. She smell it 250 back me up in my pocket. 2 slip she gone, want me plug in her socket. Under me Guinness and me weak me and walk it yo. Keep the ganja pipe burning. For good sense to me, your man yearning. A ganja man, they put you stiff in the air. And I wear it like you just don't care. Shiny man I sing. Keep the ganja pipe burning. For good sense to me, your man yearning. A ganja man, they put you stiff in the air. And I wear it like you just don't care. Road boy from overseas, we no care, we no matter. This we be get flatter, man, a real tapper. Big Mac double whopper, original showstopper. No say man a rapper, but can't say man a shatter. Light up with big it, make it bone down proper. On the time we real root boy used to real chopper. This the king blow, oh, your head pan a platter. Smoke a slip and relax, man, you too lava lava. Keep the ganja pipe burning. For good sense to me, your man yearning. A ganja man, they put you stiff in the air. And I wear it like you just don't care. Who don't feel listen me? Keep the ganja pipe burning. For good sense to me, your man yearning. A ganja man, they put you stiff in the air. And I wear it like you just don't care. Blaze up the fire, keep it burning. 24/7, 365, we keep it alive. Blaze up the fire, keep it burning. 24/7, 365, we keep it alive. When we light up me chalice, say me don't fear no malice. I'm a trouble and gone. When me light up me bang in a Buckingham Palace. Good for every Tom, Dick and Harris. Good for every Michelle and Alice. From London to New York to Paris. Ganja make you feel good and spin like Ferraris. Room, Barlet the Rasta Paris. China man a real ganja man, me now go parry no cigarettes. No, keep the ganja pipe burning. For good sense to me, your man yearning. A ganja man, they put you stiff in the air. And I wear it like you just don't care. China man a sing, keep the ganja pipe burning. For good sense to me, your man yearning. A ganja man, they put you stiff in the air. And I wear it like you just don't care. Blaze up the fire, keep it burning. 24/7, 365, we keep it alive. Blaze up the fire, keep it burning. 24/7, 365, we keep it alive. Keep Keep the ganja pipe burning. For good sense to me, your man yearning. A ganja man that puts a slip in the air. Wanna wave it like you just don't care. When me sing again, keep the ganja pipe burning. For good sense to me, your man yearning. A ganja man that puts a slip in the air. Wanna wave it like you just don't care.
Yeah, baby, keep that ganja pipe burning. Keep it burning coast to coast. And there's a lot of people who keep it burning for medicinal purposes. But there's the social aspect of it and the recreational use. And I just don't see anything wrong with that either. And then there's the other aspect that seems to get overlooked on a regular basis, and that is the industrial hemp. I tell you, not only is this plant a miracle plant for so many sick people, it is a miracle plant for a sick earth. This plant can help take care of what's going on there at Fukushima. I tell you, instead of trying to freeze the ground, why don't we make some hempcrete and take the hemp concrete and then just encase that mess? It's just an idea. Anyway, on the broadcast today, my joint host, Paul Stanford, and I are having a great joint conversation with Tim Selenski. And anytime you hear the word joint on the big broadcast, nearly 2 million people all around the world hit their pipes, their bongs, and their vaporizers and take time for hemp. Big shout out to AmericanFreedomRadio.com, and a thank you for all they do there to help raise the voice of not only freedom, but of the marijuana movement. My joint host, Paul Stanford. Paul, you want to kick off this round of questions with Tim?
Certainly. So, Kim, can you tell me, do the folks up there worry about hemp contaminating the bud crop?
Well, that's always a reality. There are hemp farmers in Saskatchewan, and hemp pollen, the male pollen, can travel, 30 kilometers, I believe. I know there's no problem about it where I garden, because I definitely looked around before I decided to put a crop anywhere. Obviously, not just look for hemp, but we also talk to the local authorities in the area and just make sure they know that we're there. And yeah, it's definitely something to worry about. But rurellus was a cross of hemp and marijuana. Dwarf hemp was crossed into cannabis, and it created something good. So, maybe it wouldn't be such a bad thing if you could control it a little bit more. And they do make filters for intakes. For greenhouses, we get them out of Quebec. So there's always technology to help the farmer, combat with any problem, whether it be pollen from another crop or bugs or heat. And that's the one thing that's made cannabis better, is people just more educated about it. Marijuana hasn't gotten stronger. The Northern Lights that I grow is still the same Northern Lights that came, from hundreds of years ago. But we just know more about the plant. We know what it wants to eat, and we just give it that much more love, so we can create a better product. It's not the, and not to mention you guys.
There is so much misinformation out there about cannabis and hemp and the differences between them. I really believe the only reason we have this ultra low THC hemp is to stop the energy production from hemp. If we used high THC hemp that had big buds and big indica seeds, we could get a lot more protein and oil out of the crop. But, that's the reason they allow it, to make it confusing. There are people out there saying hemp only comes from the male plants, and it's really the same plant. It's not a different plant. Cannabis sativa, cannabis indica, those distinctions are secondary. It's not a different species. It's the same plant. It's cannabis. Cannabis indica and cannabis sativa interbreed, and I don't know a lot of people who have real pure indica strains anyway. But I really believe when we can remove the artificial stigma of cannabis prohibition from the consciousness, that we can replace petroleum and the tar sands coming from out there near where you're at, Tim, with hemp seed oil, which is obviously a lot more environmentally friendly. And instead of the money going into these huge international petroleum companies so they can stick it in their, Swiss bank accounts, it'll be going to our farmers, and our farmers will be spending their community. It will decentralize wealth. It's really an issue of social and economic justice. And when we legalize hemp without regard to its THC content, but depending on the varieties that produce the most fuel, fiber, and food, that's when we'll see an entire turnaround in our economy as we decentralize wealth and spur economic growth. What do you think of that?
Paul? Couldn't have said it better myself.
I've been practicing. I get my speech here at the Seattle Hip Fest in a couple of days.
I get that all the time. I got, my horticulturists that work with me. I don't have much of an education towards it. Just been doing it a really long time. I planted my first plant when I was 13 years old. My parents knew I was growing marijuana, but I cut the leaves.
What year was that?
To make it look like mint. But it's definitely.
What year was that, Tim?
What's that?
What year was that? What year did you plant your first plant?
Oh, that would have been. What year would that have been? I'm 30, turning 32 in a week and a half here. So
okay, so about 19 years ago. I put my first plant in the ground when I was about 13 or 14 as well. But we're talking 1974 probably. You probably weren't even born then.
No, I wasn't even conceived then.
But we always stand on the shoulders of those who come before us, and there's a lot of recreating the wheel when it comes to hemp right now, but we need to recreate it faster. And so the vote in Washington State and Colorado have made a huge change, but they're certainly not far enough. And I sure hope you guys can get rid of the Harper government up there in Canada. So son of Trudeau is running now. He's the head of it's the Liberal Party in Canada.
Yeah, and he's gone vocal and saying that marijuana should be right out legalized, not decriminalization, not regulating, full out legalization. His father also said that, and I really hope this young one really pushes the rest of the politicians to really open their eyes towards cannabis and what could potentially happen to our economy if they do right out legalize, and it would only be good things.
Is Margaret Trudeau still alive, his mom?
I'm not sure. I don't follow it that much.
I know his father's gone.
Yeah, that I believe.
Yeah. The listeners who don't know, the Trudeaus Pierre Trudeau was the premier of Canada for about 10 years on and off there in Canada in the 70s.
Again, I wasn't around then.
I remember it.
Wasn't he that really liberal guy that used to date the Hollywood stars and have those wild parties?
We won't repeat those now.
But you say I've been doing this for 19 years now. Guarantee that this young boy is going to do it for another 19, whether the federal government wants me to or not, because the people that I help make it worthwhile. And if they want to stop people from having the ability to produce their own medication, all they're going to do is feed the black market. They're going to feed the criminals. They're going to it's going to do so many negative things, and then the people that really need access to it aren't going to be able to get it. And
I remember back in the 70s when Trudeau was saying legalize it, President Carter said we need to change the federal laws. Then there's this huge conservative backlash that's been going on now for 40 years people need to realize you got to grab that brass ring at the center and take advantage and make the change while you can. We can't let this opportunity pass us by. You know, if we don't get hemp restored, it really has dreadful, dystopian possibilities for the future freedom for all humanity. I know that seems kind of overbearing, but it's really true. You know, cannabis is really about freedom of consciousness, and we need to establish that people have the right to think the thoughts that they want to think. And marijuana is at the very heart of that. And if we don't have that right, in the next 20 years, with the convergence of nanotechnology, genetic and DNA technology, and artificial intelligence, you know, terrible things, like you might see in the movie The Matrix or The Terminator, those kind of things become, you know, possibilities. And it could be a lot worse than what they're showing in those movies even. But we've got to all work together and get involved in our local political system and take charge. You know, back in the 60s, Tim Leary, the guru of LSD from Harvard University, said, turn on, tune in, and drop out. Well, we need to take over. So much with the dropping out. We've got to take over. And it's our time and our job to do it. And we all just have to figure out how to do it and work together.
Well, one thing I need to take over here is the big broadcast. We are coming up on another commercial break. I tell you, when you're having fun, time does fly. I want to remind people that if you go to iTunes, all of our archives are being shoved up into there now. I think in our past archives, we're up to almost 2012, and we'll be getting the rest of those loaded in these next few weeks. And you can also go to timeforhemp.com, and when you go there, it autoplays the most current segment of this broadcast, and you can also download it and share it with your friends. Well, we're going to come back after this commercial break, pick up where we left off. Please let our sponsors know that you heard about them here on the big broadcast, and when you get a chance, let everybody around you know how important it is to take time for hemp.
It's time for hemp prohibition to end. The cannabis legalization movement has long waited to have congressional or Senate hearings to present the failure of drug prohibition, medical benefits of cannabis, and more. Time for Hemp is tired of waiting for the cannabis movement to get such an invitation and has organized this 5 2-hour conference series special. Time for Hemp will be hosting live specials to produce a global cannabis summit with some of the most brilliant minds and amazing leaders of the industrial hemp and medical cannabis movement. This presentation will be broadcasted live on American Freedom Radio online, AM, FM stations across America, and on Roku, and will be archived at American Freedom Radio and on iTunes. During each commercial-free broadcast, moderators will conduct discussions with 6 expert panelists brought together from all corners of the earth to present the most current research and statistics concerning this trillion-dollar industry. Tune in live starting each Friday this August at 9 to 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. This special presentation is being hosted by Casper Leitch on AmericanFreedomRadio.com.
Serious Seeds is your source for quality cannabis and sativa seeds. Serious Seeds are the creators of legendary strains like AK-47, Bubblegum, Chronic, Cali Mist, and White Russian. The AK-47 is probably the most awarded strain on the planet. The high THC content of AK-47 makes it the perfect medical strain for patients seeking quick pain relief. Cali Mist is an almost pure sativa. Female medical cannabis patients have reported that this strain helps relieve menstrual cramps. Serious Seeds just acquired another Dutch high-quality seed bank, Magus Genetics. From now on, Serious Seeds can offer you even more award-winning strains. The fine folks at Serious Seeds strive to breed the best cannabis genetics that they can find, so patients can rely on the effectiveness of their medicine. Go to SeriousSeeds.com to grow your medicine. That site again is SeriousSeeds.com.
Green Glass Clean is a 100% green liquid cleaner that is designed to wash the toughest resin stains from pipes, bongs, and hookahs. Green Glass Clean is safe to use on glass, plastic, ceramic, wood, and about anything you smoke from, so you can enjoy the full flavor of your smoke. Green Glass Clean is easy to use. Just dilute a small amount, then soak, rinse, and dry. Green Glass Clean will gently dissolve any stuck-on crud from your pipe, keeping your smoking gear fresh and clean. Order Green Glass Clean at greenglassclean.com. And for those stubborn, hard-to-reach resin spots that just won't come off, there is the Gak Attack Brush Pack. Gak Attack Brush Pack keeps your smoking gear clean and looking shiny. The tough yet gentle nylon bristles scrub and scrape buildups and residue with ease. Wire-braided handle bends for easy maneuvering without damaging your smoking apparatus. Using the Gak Attack Brush Pack with Green Glass Clean will keep your pipes, bongs, and hookahs clean. Order your Gak Attack Brush Pack by going to gakattack.com.
THCF Medical Clinics are the premier physicians clinic in the United States. THCF has offices all across the United States from Hawaii to Michigan. THCF Medical Clinics has helped approximately 150,000 patients obtain their medical marijuana permits to legally possess, grow, and use medical marijuana. If you have chronic pain, multiple sclerosis, or any other neurological degenerative disease, or if you have any gastrointestinal disorders such as GERD, irritable bowel syndrome, or if you have AIDS, cancer, spastic disorders, seizure disorders, or glaucoma, call us at 1-800-723-0188 or visit us online at hemp.org. Again, the number is 1-800-723-0188 and the site is hemp.org.
You are listening to the Time for Hemp Today podcast, and on the Time for Hemp Today podcast, we like to put a spotlight on hardworking activists from all around the world and include a little bit of music. And we're going to get back to the program here in just a minute, but a friend of mine, Kelly Christen from KDK Distributors, wants to make a special announcement to all the members of the audience of Time for Hemp. And Kelly, why don't you let people know all about that?
You betcha. We're lucky enough to be able to offer some totally 100% free vaporizers, high-quality vaporizers, to medical patients anywhere in the world who cannot afford one on their own. As I know, and probably most of you do who are listening, those on assisted income or disability pension, whatever the case may be, they can't work, they're ill, and they medicate with marijuana and find it difficult to be able to purchase a quality vaporizer. So it's super simple. If either you yourself or you can send one in for someone who you think might be very happy to receive a free vaporizer, send me an email with a little bit of information about the individual and, of course, a photograph, because we do publish the winners in Treating Yourself magazine, and send it to Kelly, Kelly, at kdkwholesale.ca. And once we receive it, we put it in our really small barrel and pick people out. Well, I have to say, in all honesty, we've doubled our giveaway thanks to the guys down at Vivape, and of course our ongoing relationship with the great folks at Herbal Air that have been with us since the beginning on this program. And, you know, we've doubled our giveaways, so I'm hoping that we can double our entries, because I got to tell you, in all honesty, we're starting to run low. So come on, you people out there. I know that there are just thousands of you, and please, you know, can send in something, and because I'm telling you, we sure love giving them away, and we know it does great things. And you know, thanks to both Herbal Air for originating the program and Vivape for coming along, doubling our free vaporizer output.
And Kelly, I tell you, you are remarkable, very amazing. I've been uploading the past live shows into the Time for Hemp iTunes live podcast. You can find it for free at iTunes. All 3 years I'm getting them loaded up. Boy, it's a chore, but I'm making it happen. And I realized, my gosh, Kelly, I think you came on board like the third or fourth week that we went live
on AmericanFreedomRadio.com back in 2009. You have been a backbone to this series, as well as the movement. And honestly, Kelly, this show would not be anywhere the strength it is, would not have anywhere the size of audience that it has, and our guests would not be heard as loudly as they are heard had it not been for the support of you and the amazing team at KDK. So
we've really made some difference in a lot of people's lives out there. It's not the fact that they actually save money because it reduces their need to use medical marijuana, because it reduces, because it's way more efficient, and it reduces their consumption, so they save money. But also it's phenomenal for the health factor and receiving their medication in a much less harmful way. So it's a double-edged sword, and it really, really has gone to help some people out there who are really in need. And I know that, we can't reach them all, but I'll tell you what, we can reach a lot, and we are continuing to do that every month. So please keep your letters coming in, and let anybody you know, or any compassion clubs, or dispensaries or anything, let them know that this exists, and hopefully we can continue the program.
Because it is much, much healthier to vaporize than it is to burn and smoke, baby, huh?
Without question. Well, there are well over 20 carcinogens created by combustion, and of course they're eliminated. No rolling paper glue, no butane from a lighter. So yes, from a health perspective, it's a substantial improvement in terms of getting that medication into your body.
Well, Kelly, I want to thank you on behalf of the marijuana movement for your graciousness to make certain that people who are sick and need a healthy way to take their medication can do so. I also want to remind people that you can find all 4 of our podcasts up in the iTunes, and that is a great way to share these podcasts with all your friends all around the world. We have the Time for Hemp Music Podcast, Time for Hemp Classic Podcast, Time for Hemp Live podcast, and then the podcast that you are currently listening to, the Time for Hemp Today podcast, all found at iTunes. Also, if you go to time4hemp.com, that's the number 4, time4hemp.com, you can find lots of videos that you can download for free. There are segments of the original Time for Hemp TV series found there. Also, I've done interviews over the past couple of years at the Seattle Hemp Fest and the Portland Hemp Stock, and those are found there, as well are segments that I have been the joint host of on Cannabis Common Sense with Paul Stanford, who is the joint host on Time for Hemp Live every Thursday on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. Well, we're going to listen to some music right now, and then we're going to come back and take a whole lot more Time for Hemp.
Just fighting in big cities, taking out the innocent and the guilty. They no longer need to blend into the trees. They're hiding in the street. Oh my gosh, trying to desensitize me on the TV with their vision of brutality. Well, trying to shallow my conscience with defensive statements. Oh, no camouflage, they say no camouflage, they say no camouflage, no camouflage, they say no camouflage, no camouflage, no camouflage. Give me the green camouflage for my peace march. Oi, green camouflage, we'll be unarmed. How you mean illegal? Give me the green camouflage for my peace march. We're a peaceful people. Green camouflage, we'll be unarmed. Hey. Camouflage in a fashion, we must have thought the war was over for America. I tell them they don't need the green no more. Searching for the enemy door to door. I will make camouflage in Jamaica. Make me feel like a soldier in your army. In Barbados, most peaceful people I know still can open embargo. No camouflage, they say no. Camouflage, they say no. No camouflage, no. Camouflage, they say no. Camouflage, no camouflage. Wow. Give me the green camouflage for my peace march. Whoa, yeah. Green camouflage will be unarmed. How can a shirt be illegal? Give me the green camouflage for my peace march. How come green camouflage so illegal? Oi. Give me the green camo, camo, camo. Give me the green camouflage. Give me the green camo, camo, camo. Give me the green camouflage. No pants, no shirt, no dress, no skirt, no shoe, no sock, no bag, no rag. Give me the green camo, camo, camo. Give me the green. Hey, give me the green. How come? Give me the green. You don't fight your battle on the battlefield, soldier. Give me the green. Hey, give me the green. Camo, camo, camo. Give me the green. No camo, no camo, no camo. No camouflage. Hey, give me the green, soldier. Give me the green. Oh well. Give me the green. Camo, camo, camo. Give me the green. How come?
Well, now, chocolate cake makes my poor stomach ache, and all those pills are too much for me to take. I don't like cocaine, cause it makes me all uptight, but coffee and reefer makes me feel alright.
Yeah, baby, coffee and reefer does make me feel all right. First thing I do when I roll out of the rack is grab myself a great big cup of coffee, pack myself a bowl, and I'm in front of my computer fighting back, trying to end this prohibition. You too need to get involved. If you're just sitting there staring at the world around you, wondering who's going to make it a better place, well, let me tell you something. You are actually part of the problem. And so get up, put one foot in front of the other, and get out that door and get involved. Want to remind people that tomorrow we start an hour earlier. Every Friday this month, we have been hosting 2-hour global conferences, a 2-hour global conference that's being put together all under one umbrella as the 2013 Global Hemp Summit. Time to end prohibition. This came on the heels of my getting angry. I just really got angry. I can't tell you the number of times that we've had people like Judge James Gray come on and Gary Johnson come on and Paul Stanford come on and all these amazing activists come on, talk about medical marijuana helping people, the ending of economic woes with industrial hemp and all the history that we have. And yet we can't get anybody to walk through the halls of Congress, the halls of Senate, and be heard. This in spite of the fact that our government here in the United States gives 4 people still legal medical marijuana for their ails. So what I did was I woke up one day in a nasty mood, and I called up all of my friends and said, let's put together a global summit that when it's all said and done can be downloaded into MP3s and sent to every member of Congress, every member of the Senate, not just in America, but in every governing body on the planet. We've been doing that. We covered industrial hemp in the first conference, and last week we did medical marijuana. We had the guy on from Israel who found the cannabinoids, a great list of people. And tomorrow when you tune in, we're going to have Judge James Gray kick off the program. And we got somebody from the Drug Policy Alliance, Hannah Hetzer. Santa Trees joining us. He's the director of the Drug Policy Project. Heather Haas is joining us. She's from the International Drug Policy Consortium. We got Ben Dronkers popping in for a little bit to talk about what's going on the international level. He has the Dutch Hemp Museum. And Next week, we got a Leap crew coming on board, and then the following week, Ethan Nadelman and Eric Sterling and Howard Woodwidge and I are going to be discussing solutions on ending prohibition. When it's all said and done, you will then be asked to carry the torch, take these MP3s forward, and use them as tools to help educate the world around you on how important it is to take time for hemp. Enough of my shameless self-promotion, gentlemen. I want to thank you for being patient with that. Tim, I do not know how much about Paul you are aware of. Paul is one of our hard-working activists up here or down here in America. He does a TV show, has done that for 16 years, called Cannabis Common Sense. And he's also one of the founding fathers in the American marijuana movement. Jack Hare wrote the book, The Emperor Wears No Clothes, sitting in Paul's kitchen, eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and getting high. And Paul Stanford is one of the people who makes the Seattle Hemp Fest actually happen. And he's also the person who makes the Portland Hemp Stock a reality. And he is someone who makes Time for Hemp a strong and vibrant voice because of his support, much like you, Tim, who also makes donations to this program and keeps us loud, proud, and strong. Gentlemen, I want to thank you for all you do because of your help with this show and the marijuana movement. So many patients are being heard, so much success is being accomplished in this struggle, and without people like you, we would have been lost long ago. So thank you so much for all you do. Paul, I'll let you and Tim get back to your growing questions.
Tim, you might not know it, but one of those commercials that was just playing there about THCF medical clinics helping over 150,000 people. Hey, we've broken the 200,000 mark now. We've helped over 200,000 people, so we can change our ads. But how do you do it up in Canada? You said you would help 3,000 people get your cards up there in Canada. What's the process like up there?
Well, the process is definitely still arbitrary, but it's the biggest problem was trying to, make doctors feel comfortable with signing all this paperwork that comes along with a prescription instead of, just a doctor simply writing on an RX pad. Now, this is the new legislation proposals for the MMAP is supposed to make it easier for doctors, which is why they say in the next 5 years, 300,000 Canadians will have this license, even though 26,000 got it in the 11 years. So they're going to see a huge increase. I'm seeing a huge increase just because of like Casper's show and activists like yourself that are out there that are, pushing people to really understand cannabis. There was a great video on CNN, I guess, the other day. We helped sign one of the youngest licenses in Canada, a 6-year-old. Unfortunately, she's passed. But it's not that difficult. It's no different than applying for a driver's license or a registered firearms license. You have to want it, and you have to want to go out and get it. And when you do get a license for cannabis, to feel the freedom of the Section 56 exemption, to know that you cannot be arrested for possessing a plant. It's a great feeling, when a police officer asks you if there's any marijuana in the car, and you say, yes, officer, there is, and you show him the bag and you show him the license and he lets you go on your way. That is probably one of the most greatest feelings to a cannabis user. Again, I used cannabis at a very young age. Obviously, I got in trouble with the law with it because there wasn't always this licensing process. So, good on our, I believe it was the Liberals and under Mr. Chrétien, when he was in power here, that started this entire program. Not to mention all the activists that pushed for it and the courts to help with it. But it's a very simple process, and I suggest that anybody go check it out. I know there's information on our website, Head Shop Canada, on how to get a license. I even shot a 10-minute video on YouTube called "Get It Legal," and it just explains how to properly bring it up to your doctor.
So you go to your doctor kind of, and then make sure you have the form.
Well, yeah, you do. It requires one form from for your doctor to sign that basically just is why you're going to use cannabis. There's two forms, a B1 or a B2. B1 is terminal illnesses, yes, HIV, cancer, MS, arthritis, heavy terminal illnesses. And then B2 applications, you do have to have seen a specialist. So if you're trying to get it for something as simple as stress or for eating disorders, you would have had to have seen some type of specialist. They sign the back of a photograph because the government still likes to profile us as cannabis users, so it requires a picture for some reason. They do not give us hard copy cards anymore. They actually used to give us a big pink piece of paper, which was the license, and then a card that you could put in your wallet. Well, since Harper has taken over, there's definitely been a lacking of the funding put into it. So they eliminated that card that you're allowed to carry around. Now they expect you to carry this giant legal piece of paper around in this country. It's so arbitrary. Again, we need to kibosh the entire process and legalize it. Allow it to be sold in stores, no different than they want to sell harmful cigarettes and alcohol. And that's the common argument, is that we're still allowed to consume harmful chemicals on a day-to-day basis, but for some reason we're not allowed to ingest something that's potentially, good for us. So and you don't have to smoke cannabis to use it. You can use tinctures, which again is when we helped get the young lady licensed at 6 years of age. People were concerned that the child was going to get intoxicated from the cannabis. Well, it was a non-heat activated form of cannabis so that the child could ingest the cannabinoids without becoming intoxicated from it. Because one cannabinoid, THC, which again you're probably way more familiar with the cannabinoids. I believe there's 68 cannabinoids that have been found in cannabis. One of those cannabinoids, THC, that releases dopamine in the brain that creates a euphoric feeling of what people say being high is. But you don't need to ingest cannabis and get high from it, and that's what we're using on this.
Well, we're down to about 2 minutes already. Boy, this hour goes fast. It's the best hour of the day. So let's give out some shout-outs. We'll start with Tim on your URLs and events.
Well, I think I just have to let people know that in Canada, hopefully if they reach this, the greencanvas.ca, the company that I work for that helps people access medical cannabis, just launched online, so check it out.
And Paul, you want to give a shout-out for your websites?
Hemp.org. You go to hemp.org. Casper and I co-host a television show on Friday night. It's Cannabis Conferences. You can watch it live on ustream.tv and find out more at our portal, all of our different sites at hemp.org.
And Paul, I tell you, it is a blast being the joint host on this program. I look forward to being on the air again tomorrow. We start an hour earlier here on the broadcast, so make it a point to tune in with all your friends and take time for hemp.
Don't cut trees for paper, 'cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yes, it's time for help.